It's hard to kind of comprehend the scale of the medical needs and the humanitarian needs in South Sudan. 4 million people, a third of the population, have been displaced by years of conflict. South Sudan remains one of the most dangerous countries in the world to deliver a baby or to be a child under 5 years old. And one of the real tragedies in South Sudan is that so many of the diseases we see are preventable and treatable. So things like malaria, cholera, respiratory tract infections, and the issue of access to healthcare. Women, children especially, who arrive a day or even an hour too late to a clinic. After years of conflict, there's a sense of fatigue with South Sudan, and that's a priority for us to keep the focus on this country and this response. MSF runs 16 projects across South Sudan, and we run everything from big-scale hospitals to mobile clinics. It's emergency responses and it's long-term needs. It's everything from cholera and malaria to snake bites. It's really the needs that drive our priorities and push us to where the people are. So it's looking for creative, innovative solutions surrounding Old Fangak. It was an area where people have sought refuge, displaced by the conflict, and in the rainy season it becomes one of the largest swamps in the world, but it's where the people feel safe. This is a community where there's just no infrastructure at all. There's no roads, and so the responsibility was for us to bring healthcare to this community, but the community to meet us halfway, and where we provided some building materials, they did all the construction of some really local structures to give our team a place in the rainy season to do medical consultations. And we've really made an effort to expand our outreach, traveling with teams by boat up to 5 hours away. But the members of the community could really see the value of MSF's presence, and they did what they could to facilitate our work. The MSF response in South Sudan is one of our biggest programs globally, and we employ 3,500 South Sudanese staff, and 90% of our team is South Sudanese. So working with our colleagues to train, build capacity for the long term is always a priority. Whether it's day-to-day bedside training with each individual patient on taking vital signs and prescribing medication, or some of the longer-term initiatives that we have. We've started to implement a point-of-care ultrasound training within our teams, giving skills to our South Sudanese doctors and clinical officers, our nurses and midwives, to diagnose certain diseases and conditions. That technology is being used in some remote areas where you wouldn't normally find a high-tech option like the point-of-care ultrasound. So despite what can feel like endless medical needs across the country in a humanitarian situation that doesn't show any sign of improving, our South Sudanese staff are taking on more key leadership positions and passing on the training to kind of the next generation of staff coming through. And that does give me a sense of optimism for the future.